I grew up in a family of entertainers, I suppose. It was probably not unusual to want to aspire to be in line with what your parents were doing at the time. And I don't believe in luck so much. I think you create your own luck, which I sort of did in my teens and got a few jobs here and there. But Neighbours certainly was that moment I was looking for that gave me sort of the, propelled me really. And I guess it's what you make of that moment that defines where you go from there. And, I'm still here talking about it, so I must be doing okay.
What were you doing before Neighbours?
I'd done a few professional jobs, obviously, with school as well. That was a priority for me. I finished my schooling, I think, in 1985. In fact, I got offered Neighbours in 1983, actually, probably. But that would have meant leaving school at the time. And I decided, well, on my teacher's advice, on my father's advice, to sort of stick with my schooling and go through the 12 years. I think that would have felt like unfinished work.
Had you always had a love of musical and musical theatre, for that matter, before then?
Well, I certainly never set out to be a musical theatre star, that's for sure. Although I did watch my father do Chicago back in 1980. And as an actor, one knows that you have to be as versatile as you possibly can. So music and singing were part of what one requires as your tools, I guess. The success of Neighbours sort of underscored a bigger moment of opportunity. And, I was watching people like Guy at the time, was a musician, but particularly Kylie and the success that sort of happened with her. And I suppose, when you get, an audience, as you said before, I think, 22, 23 million people watching Neighbours every day. People are looking out for the next thing. And we know that television, through things like X Factor, and this goes back into the 70s through the Osmonds and, and the Jacksons, and TV, is a fundamental part of music's profile. And MTV, even in the 80s, changed that landscape. So, I didn't really have the tools at the time to be able to write songs like Stockache and Waterman. I wasn't ever pretending to be. But, they would literally write the songs there and there, and you'd be a bit of cut and paste, and, you'd hear it back and off you'd go. It was that sort of, I wouldn't sort of call it manufactured pop, but it certainly was consistent, and they had a method and a formula, and if you wanted to be part of that formula, this was the way that they worked. So, I can't even really recall Too Many Broken Hearts, but I remember that chorus, definitely, and I remember recording a lot of it in Australia because I was still in Neighbours at the time. Especially For You was recorded in Sydney. That was done very quickly as well. That was done over 24 hours, literally. They flew in and flew out. And that was done before my album, 10 Good Reasons. And if I'm honest, in a way, that coupling between Kylie and myself helped propel what was to be that big album from 1989.